everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of the Kong Roundtable. Today, as always, you're joined by me, Mulder, otherwise known as Faye, and
Ton here, once again.
And Crash here, per usual.
And today we're joined by a special guest, Jake Tucker from Something Ghoulish.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. Great to always talk about kaiju and men in suits and whatnot.
Yep. And today, and I guess just to continue tradition from the Godzilla Roundtable, even though Kong is not quite the same as Godzilla, what was your earliest experience with King Kong?
My earliest experience?
Mm-hmm.
Well, my earliest experience with King Kong, it goes back to like everything for me and just sort of horror and monsters in general. And this is the Crestwood House Monster series. There was, for those who don't know, there were these old books. They were made in the 70s, and they were these little hardcover picture books that had, and each was centered around a different monster. There was a Frankenstein one, a Dracula one.
I think we talked about these before on the show because I actually own those. I know they're a hot commodity now too, so I'm very glad I owned them because my library was getting rid of them, and they were like, "Want them?" I was like, "Yes."
Yeah, there was a very sort of thin sliver of time when all the libraries were getting rid of them, and this is before they become hot ticket items. So there was one. King Kong was kind of the mascot of them. He
I
was
remember
on the
that.
back of each book, and that was probably the first time I saw him. Was in one of those, and then eventually my librarian, when she would do like the interlibrary loan stuff, she would go to other libraries and get me whatever monster books they didn't have at theirs, and she got me the King Kong one. So that was probably the first exposure to him, was seeing him on the back of one of those books.
Ironically, now that you mention it, I think I did actually see Kong on one of those before I saw Kong in a movie. Actually, now that you mention it, that triggered my memory because I'm pretty sure I watched Godzilla before Kong. I'm 99.9% sure. So that is funny. That actually brought me back now. I'm so glad that I actually own those books because, like you said, those have gotten rare as could be because a lot of libraries tossed them out.
Yeah, especially the because I've gone through and priced them. The only one that I'm missing, like 2 or 3, and one of the ones that I'm missing is Godzilla, and that one goes for like $200.
That's the one which I own. Funny enough.
Hang on to that.
Yeah, I the ones I have are Godzilla, Kong, Frankenstein, the werewolf one, and the mad scientist one. I might have Dracula too. I think I'd have to look. I think I have Dracula.
Yeah,
I could be wrong though.
They're so awesome. I wish that they would do. It'd be hard because of copyright and everything. But I know that there's so many monster fans that would buy like some sort of fancy slipcover reproduction of those things.
Yeah, they're very nostalgic. I say as I go into something which Crash and Thunder are like, what the fuck are they talking about? Anyways, but yeah, that took me down a nostalgia path. Let me reroute this before I start talking about those orange books forever because oh my god, I have a lot of memories with them. So yeah, on this episode today, we are covering King Kong Escapes because we skipped King Kong vs. Godzilla because we already covered that on the Godzilla Roundtable. You can go listen to that episode. It's episode number 3 if you want to hear our thoughts on that movie. And today we are covering the pseudo-sequel, kind of reboot, kind of standalone Toho Kong film from 1967, which, like I said, is King Kong Escapes. This film was directed by Shiro Honda. It has all the classic people behind the Toho Kaiju films. So you've got Shiro Honda directing, you've got Tomoyuki Tanaka producing, you've got Akira Fukube doing the score, and you've also got Eiji Tsuburaya doing the special effects. So this is the pretty much what you would consider the A-team of Toho doing this one, as Jun Fukuda was doing the Godzilla films at this time. So what do you guys think of Shiro Honda's direction in this one?
It was super nice going back to that classic Showa style. It's been a while since we touched that, and Shiro Honda's directing really shows here. it's a very well made movie, and it shows very well through his directing. I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Whoever wants to go next can go.
Yeah, and I think that it is through the. I think that when you watch a lot of these Honda movies, you can kind of tell which ones he kind of inserts his own kind of ideas into, and there's not really that much of in King Kong Escapes. It's very sort of by the numbers in a lot of ways, I think, and it's definitely one of the A team, like you said, of Toho, and it's probably one of the last movies
Yeah,
that
it is
has all of them together.
because A.G. Tsuburaya ducked out after this point, mainly.
Yeah, and I think like for the next few films that he was credited on, it really wasn't him.
The last one he was credited on was Destroy Monsters, and he only supervised. He wasn't directly involved in that.
Yeah, and so this is really one of the last films until the Showa era and Toho would really end 3 years after this with Space Amoeba was really the last one. So you're kind of seeing, in a lot of ways, with King Kong Escapes, the beginning of the end, maybe.
Yeah.
With that golden age.
Mm-hmm. Also, I can't believe it, but of course, as always, I messed up my own fucking formula. I forgot to do our segment where we rate the movie. So, Crash, I'll let you cover up for my mistake. What do you give King Kong Escapes out of 10?
Give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Oh wow, that's high.
It was a really good, and I was really surprised that a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it, but we'll get into that.
John,
Yeah, it's a solid 8 out of 10 for me.
Jake,
7 out of 10.
Okay, 8 out of 10. Wow, this is one of the rare times where our guest gives the movie a lower rating than we do.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Oftentimes, it's the opposite.
Actually, maybe I would give it an 8 out of 10. That was
Okay.
But it was still really good. I still like it.
Okay. John, sorry that I cut you off before you could give your thoughts. What did you think of Honda's direction in this one?
Oh, no problem. Yeah, like with Crash, it's nice to kind of go back to that classic Showa style. And I definitely agree with Jake. Like, this is probably not Honda's this isn't the same as say like Terror of Mechagodzilla or of course Gojira, where he goes really deep. But it's interesting how he always kind of has core ideas he brings into this movie. There's a lot of kind of interesting commentary. And just, he has this very distinct feel to his movies. And especially does the more like rompy ones.
Yeah.
It just has a charm to it, so I always enjoy Honda's work.
All right. So I think that's a good primer for it. I guess we should cover the monsters first, actually. I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to cover monsters first. So, what did you guys think about King Kong in this movie? Whoever wants to go first.
I think that he is he's not great. He's not great, but he is better than the King Kong versus Godzilla Kong.
Oh, interesting take.
There's a couple little differences I like. One, I like when they sort of do like a medium shot of him, and he has these. They have these mechanical eyes. Which are actually really good at expressing emotion. And also, another thing is the silhouette of the long-armed Kong suit is so sort of iconic. King Kong. It's way better than just the sort of outline of him is way better. And also, it's Haruo Nakajima.
Oh yeah,
Kong,
that too.
And you can tell, like, I think something ironically that kaiju fans kind of overlook are the performances of the monsters themselves. Like just sort of looking at them in terms of a performance, in terms of acting. And Nakajima's role as Kong is honestly one of his best. Like I would rank it with maybe Godzilla and Mothra versus Godzilla and Gyra in War of the Gargantuas. It's one of his best kaiju performances in this film.
Yeah. Because I'm also pretty sure isn't he the only actor to do both Kong and Godzilla?
I would assume so. I don't know that for sure, but
I'm pretty sure he's the only actor to do both. But anyways, continue.
But yeah, I think that this is the best of the Toho Kongs by a mile. Not that
Mhm.
and I like King Kong versus Godzilla a lot more in this movie, but in terms of just
Mhm.
straight up Kong, hands down, King Kong escapes.
All right, that's fair. Crash. If
Yeah, I
you
was
want
gonna
to
say, I rewatched King Kong like just for this, and yeah, I'd say like it's like a natural kind of like growth of Kong, like his personality, just like the way they
go.
portray him here. Yeah, I'd agree too. Like I think he has a lot more character in this one too.
Yeah.
As King Kong himself, he feels more authentic, and he has a lot more stronger moments too. I think by himself, because obviously
Mhm.
King Kong versus Godzilla is balancing two iconic monsters. So I
Mhm.
think here, just because he had it to himself, they did a really good job of like, I guess, portraying him as a character
Yeah.
better than King Kong versus Godzilla. So I would
Yeah.
agree there. Not that I don't like that one too. They're both really good, but yeah, he was great here.
Ton.
Yeah, like Jay said, Haruo Nakajima really brings a lot to Kong in this movie with his kind of movements. It's those after having the last few episodes we've done been like CGI movies and then stop motion up
Mhm.
to this point. It's kind of nice to see the Showa suit style again,
Mhm.
where you just really appreciate kind of the movement and the details in the suit.
Mhm.
The King Kong escape suit has a really nice design, and Nakajima's movement is just very. You can tell he's doing lots of very like ape-like movements, but he also gives
Yeah.
Kong a lot of like human mannerisms that really work well here.
Yeah,
And just as a character, this Kong is really fun. Like he reminds me a bit of Kiko in Son of Kong, where he's a little
Oh,
more
you know,
heroic.
yeah, I can
yeah.
kind of see
Yeah.
it.
hmm So it's nice to see him kind of like a nice, friendly Kong compared to
Yeah.
his usual personality.
Something else is funny, which I got reminded of, is how while Haru Nakajima would study animals for his movements, I know the original suit actor for Kong and King Kong vs. Godzilla didn't do that. So I think it's kind of funny to see the discrepancy in their performances because of that to a degree.
Yeah, it's the performance in King Kong versus Godzilla is he looks very kind of, I don't know, maybe the actor was kind of, thinking about like if you watch King Kong versus Godzilla, for so much of the action, Kong is high in that movie from like the berry juice, or he's been kind of gassed or whatever. So for a lot of this movie, he is kind of supposed to be woozy, and I don't know if that's the actor's intention in that film, but he's a very sleepy Kong in
Yeah,
King Kong versus Godzilla.
yeah. For me with this Kong, I have to agree with everybody. I think he has more personality in this one than in King Kong versus Godzilla, and I feel like Haru Nakajima brings a lot to him. I also have to wonder, though, partly what I was thinking of, if that part also because this movie was partly inspired off the Rankin-Bass cartoon that was going on at the time, which they requested Toho make a movie off of it and use that as the basis. So I kind of wonder if that's part of why you see Kong with a lot more of that personality and also more of that heroic role.
Yeah. And that's, you brought up Rankin Bass in this. And I
Mhm.
think that, to me, that's what I love about this movie, is that it's sort of a melding of the great kind of early 60s creature houses of
Yeah,
Toho and Rankin Bass coming
yeah,
together. And it kind of looks like a live action Rankin Bass special. It's like
it does.
it reminds me of, if you put it next to like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, you can see some continuity there, I think.
Yeah, speaking of Rankin-Bass creations, though, the probably the biggest monster from this, well, okay, monster slash robot, whatever you want to call him, is Mckenney Kong, who came from the Rankin-Bass cartoon directly.
Yeah.
Even though there he was called Robot Kong. but mechanical, it's basically the same thing. The concept was from the cartoon. And Mckenney Kong is probably the most enduring legacy this film has left, because Mckenney Kong debuted years before Mechagodzilla.
That's very
Yeah.
interesting about that. Like kind of like the first Toho like robot monster they had like that. Right?
Yeah. I mean, Mogira was in the 50s,
Okay,
but
nice.
in terms of like a robotic doppelganger,
thing.
yeah.
That's very interesting.
So,
Mhm.
was this, and I guess Mogira would really get this. I mean, but one of the first giant robots in kind of a major kind of work of pop culture from Japan. That's kind of a big,
Yeah.
that's kind of a big deal for Mckenney Kong.
Yeah. The mecha boom was about to start because, Ton, you're our mecha guy. It started in 1970 exactly, right? When was Mazinger, if you remember?
So Mazinger was just gonna double check here. Oh, that was in the set. But I think. Sorry.
Well, oh no, yeah, the manga. I'm wondering because I know Go Nagai started that, I believe, in 1970, right?
Yeah, 1972.
Okay, so around that time. So yeah, Mckenney Kong really did come on early to the scene in a lot of ways, heralding what would become a really big
Trailblazer.
trend. Yeah. He's also very iconic in his own way.
I think Mckenney Kong looks really cool. I
Mhm.
love my metal robotic doppelgangers a lot. You guys probably know. Well, maybe not yet, actually, depending on when this episode comes out. But I do. And yeah, Mckenney Kong's design definitely like scratches that itch for me. The only thing is, I wish he had. Well, okay, he has a really big presence in the finale. I think he's awesome there. I just wish I could have seen him more throughout the rest of the movie.
That's fair.
But he has a really strong presence, and he's
He
a really-
go on. He kind of has that Orga problem we discussed in the 2000 episode where he's really awesome, but he doesn't show up a lot in the movie. Like he has the intro and the ending, and that's really it.
Yeah, exactly. That was my thing. I was like, oh shit, there he is. Then he like passes out. I was like, damn. And then he comes back in the end where he's cool. But yeah, I just wish you could have seen more of him. Maybe one day he'll come back. Who knows? But that's
He's tied up in rights.
Yeah,
Universal Toho. It's a whole thing. Hopefully they can do something. I don't know, but he's cool. I like Mckenney Kong.
Jake.
Yeah, the final the final battle on Tokyo Tower is really one of the best.
It's awesome.
Kaiju sequences from the Golden Age.
Oh yeah, not to cut you off, but real quick, that reminded me. They also shrunk Kong too, down to a more manageable size, so he gets to interact with the humans in a more intimate way. I feel like, and I feel like that's also part of why you see Kong get to be more like himself in a way. But anyways, continue. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it is. It is just like the fights can be a little more visceral in this.
Yeah,
and that's something else. And I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here talking about Gorosaurus.
Oh, he's coming next. You can hold that thought.
But yeah, it's the Kong, just the movement of Kong and the size, and I don't know if they made sure that just keeping him in sort of to scale with the Tokyo Tower allows for that really wonderful final sequence with them both, with Mckenney Kong and Kong climbing up the Tokyo Tower.
Yeah, I was surprised at how graphic Mckenney Kong's like, I guess you'd say death, destruction, whatever it was, with him falling and just shattering into a bunch of pieces.
I know. It's
a very cool visual.
There's a lot of that's something else that kind of surprised me when I rewatched this film last night. Is that there are much more graphic sequences in this film than any of the other Toho films made around this time.
Yeah. Like this year was Son of Godzilla, which has some disturbing scenes, it's not really to the extent of this, I would say.
And even apart from there's some gruesomeness in Rodan, and of course the 54 original. These movies tend to, but
because Super Raya was very specific that he didn't really like to have too much violence.
We didn't like that, and you can see it though in the fight with Gorosaurus.
Yeah,
You could see it in in the human action too,
yeah,
with Doctor Who kind of forcing Susan's face to the ice, saying that he's gonna
yeah,
freeze her face off, and when Doctor Who gets killed and he's gargling blood, like that's not
yeah,
the type of thing that's usually in these movies.
yeah. King Kong Escapes is a lot more graphic than the other show ones, like you're saying. It's
It's based
interesting.
off a really nice cartoon too. So it's
I know,
really
that's the funniest thing too. This is the one that's based on a cartoon.
It's more kiddie, and it's more kiddie in just about every other respect, but for those scenes.
Yeah, it's interesting. Ton, do you have any thoughts on Mckenney Kong?
Yeah, I really like Mckenney Kong. You can tell he's kind of OG before Mechagodzilla. I feel like Mechagodzilla kind of has more of a imposing presence,
Mm-hmm.
probably because he doesn't really break down. But Mckenney Kong has that really charming, like classic giant robot style.
Yeah.
It's very similar to kind of like the ones you would have seen in anime in the time. I just remembered the name, Gigantor. Or
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, just kind of that very like silver, bulky look,
Mm-hmm.
with the big arms and stuff. And I really like the movement that the suit actor, Yu Sakita did. Sakita
Yeah.
did. He gives him this very like clunky movement, so he feels heavy and slow and mechanical. I always appreciate when they do what they can to make stuff feel like,
it has weight.
authentic. Yeah, it has weight.
All right. Speaking of, because he got mentioned, it's time for probably the biggest monster for Godzilla fans, at least, and that's Gorosaurus and Crash. I'm calling you out because you hate Gorosaurus, and I don't like.
I don't hate Gorosaurus. I just think he's a meme. I think he's funny.
Why is he? Okay. Anyways, Crash, go on. What do you think of Gorosaurus?
I think he's the dinosaur, and then he dies. It was great. Okay. He had a really He had his fights in here. It was really cool. It was very reminiscent of the original like Kong 33. Kong versus the T-Rex fight.
Yeah.
I think his presence in this movie was really cool. I like how they did that same role, and the fight was really good too with Gorosaurus and Kong. And it caught me by surprise because I didn't think Kong was gonna fucking kill Gorosaurus. I thought he was gonna escape, but no, he starts like foaming at the mouth. Like,
Yeah.
God damn, he kills him. But yeah, I don't hate Gorosaurus. I just think he's funny.
Why is he funny? I don't get it. He's just a big dinosaur. That's
exactly.
cool.
He's just a big dinosaur.
Why is that? He's awesome. That's why because he's just a big Allosaurus.
Okay, Mulder, you're in the Gorosaurus Discord fan club. Is that
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course.
He's kind of like Hawkeye.
Mulder likes Hawkeye too.
Yeah, I love Hawkeye.
He's just sort of there.
All
He's
makes
like,
sense. See, it all,
and just like Hawkeye, think about how badass you have to be to hang out with all of these, demigods almost. And you can just shoot bows and arrows. Think about how badass you have to be just a regular dinosaur.
Exactly.
With like
the
Godzilla.
They feel bad. They're like, we gotta let him on. It's like when you're
but Crash.
Take your little brother with you going out for it. So they take Gorosaurus along with
But Crash, you forget who killed King Ghidorah.
Okay, you're right. I'll give him props. He
fucking broke King Ghidorah's back.
Yeah, I'll give him props there. That was pretty sick of him. I'm not gonna lie.
And he made Kong like stumble over in this one, so he's got props. He kicked Kong's ass for a bit in this one.
Okay, I'll give him some props. Okay, I'll give him a high five. I'll give him a cookie. But that's all I'll give him. Okay.
And also to be fair, I mean, I'm a big Gorosaurus fan, so I don't want to diss him, but. To be fair, the only reason he got to kick King Ghidorah's ass is that he was like the only suit that hadn't been destroyed.
Yeah, that's true.
An ultra monster, so
that's true. They had some issues with like Baragon suit and Varan suit and some other ones, but still, he was still allowed to show up. They could have just had Godzilla do it.
That's true. That's true. They did, give him that. That honor.
They got one fan where they're like, "Can you please have Gorosaurus do something cool?" Like, you know what? We'll do it. Whatever.
But yeah, Jake, what did you think of Gorosaurus? I can tell you're obviously a fan, but
Yeah, I like
in this movie,
Gorosaurus, and the more that I watch, and I watch these movies just about once a year,
Mhm.
and every time I rewatch King Kong Escapes and I rewatch Destroy All Monsters, I'm more impressed with Gorosaurus actually because it really the suit and the way that the actor is wearing the suit, it actually looks like a real kind of old timey dinosaur. It does. It's he's kind of crouched over,
yeah,
and the
yeah,
way that his legs move and are built together, it doesn't look like just sort of an upright humanoid posture with
Mhm.
a dinosaur head. It actually
yeah,
looks like sort of a saurian
yeah,
way of walking, and just that in the fight with King Kong one of the better fights of this era.
Mhm.
It almost is more like a Gamera fight when he
yeah,
like grabs Gorosaurus's mouth and like rips it
yeah,
open, and like that foam bubbles start to shoot out of it. That's a
Sucks
very
to be a dinosaur in
Gamera.
the Kong universe.
yeah.
Yeah,
If
it's a
you're
very
a dinosaur
Gamera
in
thing.
Kong, you're probably gonna lose. I mean, even Godzilla lost in
Yeah,
King Kong vs. Godzilla, and he's a dinosaur.
yeah. I like
Mhm.
him. I think he's one of the more kind of underrated kaiju
Yeah,
in that.
Ton.
Yeah, I'm part of the Gorosaurus fan club. Like he,
Yeah, Crash, suck on that. 3-1. Of course, this is cool. Confirmed. Majority rules.
hmm yeah, like Jake said, he has this really distinct style compared to Godzilla, where he feels like a kind of a classic retro dinosaur.
Hmm.
And that's what really impressed me was kind of coming out of Kong 33 and then Son of Kong going into this. I kind of wondered, just in the back of my mind, like Gorosaurus is clearly like the Toho replacement for the T-Rex in Kong 33. So you
Yeah.
kind of wonder how it'll measure up. But having finally seen this, it measures up extremely well. It's
Hmm.
still that classic kind of Showa Toho style with the suits, but Gorosaurus just moves very like naturally.
Hmm.
From once again, use cicadas. Um, I feel like I'm saying his name wrong. I
I think
apologize.
it's Sakita. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, just he moves very authentically, and with him and Haro Nakajima just
Hmm.
going at each other as the suit actors always do. They just really capture that same energy and intensity that the stop motion fights had. So,
Yeah.
just like all the classic effects, it's just really good talent behind it that makes it really good. So that remake, more or less, of the classic T-Rex scene was done justice in
Yeah.
King Kong Escapes.
I'm more on the Gorsuous fan club side, obviously. So I really love Gorsuous. I think he manages to be just unique enough too, for he doesn't feel like a complete retread, and it feels like the making up for a lost opportunity. King Kong vs. Godzilla, where they didn't have Kong fight any dinosaurs besides Godzilla, which I think was probably the right move for that movie. But for this movie, it's cool to see a Toho Kong get to fight their take on that T-Rex. This is
Yeah.
also only the second time ever that happened, technically, because this was the Fort Kong movie, which I think is pretty interesting when you think about it. I also really like Gorosaurus's colors, too. They give him a really unique color scheme, where he's really interesting. Also, I don't know if that was the plan originally, but him being an Allosaurus instead of a T-Rex was a cool move, which I
Yeah,
enjoyed.
yeah, and I think probably part of that was sort of practical. It was just easier to kind of put arms in there. It
Yeah,
might have fit the actor better, but yeah, I like it. I think that kind of the shape of his head, and yeah, I think he's actually one of the better designed kaiju
hmm
of this era too.
same. Sea Crash Gorosaurus is cool.
I'm sure you guys think that.
But yeah, before we move on, there's one other monster who is pretty much forgotten of the three in here. But to be honest, though, it makes sense, though. It's the sea serpent thing.
Oh, that one's fucking hilarious. I love that one.
Okay, then Crash. If you love him so much, then you can go.
Yeah, I love him. He has the strongest presence out of all the monsters. In this
Okay, Crash.
So yeah, the gang they're about to escape Mondo Island, and then there's just this one like random fucking sea serpent like comes out of nowhere. It's just like vibing in the water. Kong's like, I'll stop it. He just fucking throws a rock on it. It's hilarious. It just like sinks instantly. So
Bonk.
funny.
Yeah, the rock
like,
is
the
great.
cut to it is so funny.
And then
Kong
it,
just, fucking like strangles it.
yeah,
Like, under attack the ship. I completely forgot about that, but that's such a funny scene.
it's great. Whoever else wants to talk about that poor sea snake, go ahead.
He looks like a Ultra Q monster, which is not like a compliment. He they did. I'll tell you though, when they did the scene in Destroy All Monsters with Amanda kind of wrapping around the train track, that looks great. That's like the only time a snake monster looked good in one of these things.
I haven't seen Atragon yet, which is Amanda's debut movie. But Amanda doesn't look good. Doesn't look good there.
Yeah, no, it looks okay. And Atragon's a wild movie. Atragon is probably, interestingly enough, it's the one that's the most kind of explicitly about World War II.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them are about World War II in one way or the other. But Atragon, it's like an actual part of the story and kind of the theme of the movie. But that's just sort of a little digression there. But Manda does look better than the Mondo Island sea snake. It doesn't, just the wires when he's on the piano wires flopping around. Just not one of the finer moments.
Okay. I'm a ton.
The sea snake just has that really funny scene where he gets bonked with the rock. Funny enough, I actually didn't realize he was a sea snake initially. I thought I saw flippers there, so I thought it was like a really skinny plesiosaur. But he's a snake. He hisses and dies horribly as snakes are.
As all snakes do.
Yeah, he's fun, if only because it makes Mondo Island feel more wild than like Far Island does, where they only have the giant octopus and Kong. So I appreciate them adding something else there too. But it is really funny though, especially the scene where he gets bonked in the head by the rock.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. But yeah, the Mondo Island here feels much more like typical Skull Island, and I like.
Yeah, same. All right, now that we're done with the monsters, I think it's time to move to the human stuff. And to start with, as we've been discussing in every single Kong episode, we'll start with how we feel about the portrayal of the natives in this film. Ton, if it
do that every time.
Yeah, Ton, if you want to start.
Sure. So this movie is well, it's a Kong movie, so you got the elements there. But I think this movie's one of the kind of better ones in that regard because it's kind of just one man on the island.
Yeah.
It's, unnamed. He shows up in a few scenes where the characters go to Mondo Island. He's just kind of yelling at them to go away, not bother King Kong, and then he's sadly killed by Doctor Who. This was one of the better Toho attempts. They didn't try to like give him brown face or anything. He just looks like kind of a skinny old Pacific Islander, which is nice. Him dying is kind of a shame, but I guess it kind of fits with like kind of the colonial almost feel of the movie, which all Kong movies kind of explore to a degree, and just It does remind kind of like how you hear those stories about tribes being reduced to like one person. So this is definitely one of the better takes on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like honestly, I know this isn't a high bar considering Kong City, King Kong vs. Godzilla, but I would call this probably the best portrayal of the natives yet,
Yeah,
and the
Yeah,
least
I would
racist
agree.
one.
Just because it's just one guy. Like they don't
Yeah.
have enough. If they would have had more than one guy, it probably would have got. You would have seen some wigs and some makeup pulled
Yeah.
out. But
just one guy. There's no like blackface. They don't really make him like dumb. They kill him.
Yeah.
The guy Doctor Who kills him, which is unfortunate. But like besides that, it's like they say easily the best.
And also, I have to say, I do appreciate them respecting him in a way, like Carl Nelson tells them to give him a proper funeral.
Yeah.
So there's a bit more respect in this script for the Skull Islanders than you see in Kong 33 or Son of or King Kong versus Godzilla, especially King Kong versus Godzilla.
or even like the Peter Jackson King Kong. Really,
Oh, when we get to that, we'll cover it.
Sorry, don't want to open up a can of worms there.
That one will be a big topic. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But go on.
But one thing, and I love the old villager. He's played by the little old man that's in everyone. It's the same little old man. He was also the kindly fisherman who finds the Martian princess in Ghidra.
Oh, that was him. Oh, that's interesting.
And he's he's in a bunch of these. I think he was like the village elder. I in one of the films, maybe it was either War of the Gargantuas or Mothra versus Godzilla, and he was also another. Let me see, I got his name here. His name was Ikio Saramura, and he was a Kurosawa guy too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he shows up in High and Low, Yojimbo, The Hidden Fortress. So yeah, he was one of those just Toho guys that you just sort of, if you needed like a little old man, he was your guy.
That's neat. Crash, did you have any other thoughts on the natives in this? Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of funny that you have to say it, but yeah, it's like easily the least not racist portrayal of natives of all the Kong movies so far. So props to King Kong Escapes.
It wins a very narrow award of being like the least racist.
And it kind of, I think, for some reason, because it's so fantastic, and a lot of that is, it's just sort of the storybook like quality to it.
Yeah,
is that it the King Kong myth has so many kind of inherently racist things in it. Just the whole idea of the sort of Orientalist idea of the frontier, of the mysterious island. And because when you go there, it's mostly an island of monsters and creatures, it kind of pulls away from that a little bit.
Yeah, because in this one, like you were saying, they only mention the natives mainly. They're not really on screen a lot.
Yeah,
besides that one.
And that's kind of the only way you can kind of, I think, do that now. And it really does. And I don't think they weren't certainly trying to make a point to be like that or anything. It just sort of happened.
It's how it happened. Yeah,
that this is like that. But there is, there are some interesting things in terms of race in this film, mostly, and sort of ethnicity too, because I feel like that in the plot of this is a Cold War film.
Yeah, it's very Cold War.
And there's a lot of good Asian, bad Asian.
Yeah.
Madame Piranha, Doctor Who are bad Asian. And like, there's a part where the guy, he says that he looks like an Oriental skeleton. There's in the at least in the American version. And there's all of that, and Madame Piranha, they never quite say what her country is.
Well, there's that whole thing where like Nelson's constantly asking her what exactly she is.
And you can tell that she's like not Japan. Japan is our ally. Japan is our, we're one of our kind of satellite states at this point. And so Japan, good Asian, and then we have them helping us stop these bad Asians, which may or may not, which they don't say they're communists, but we can kind of, that's the assumption.
Yeah, that's very much like the I guess some implication he had that's what's of. And like because right now, as time comes back up, as he's also a history guy, the Vietnam War was kicking into full swing around this time too.
1967. Yeah, that'd be around that time, I believe.
Yeah, because I was it 68 or 67 when it really fully started. I know it was under LBJ.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was. I think that would have been it was really the Gulf of Tonkin incident that really,
Yeah.
like, we had been helping France kind of behind the scenes maintain their
Yeah.
empire for a while. Yeah, Gulf of Tonkin incident was in '64.
Yeah, so it was
So
around when it started getting big.
yeah, this would have been right at the peak of the war.
Yeah,
Yep.
and not to mention also the Korean War was not too long ago as well.
Mhm.
And that
So-
was probably still in the minds of Japan to a degree
Yeah.
too.
Absolutely, yeah. That was something that you definitely had that.
Mhm.
And that's what's interesting to watch all of these films in that
Mhm.
in that kind of evolving American, the
Yeah.
gaze of that mostly white American audience to see
Yeah.
that through that.
Mhm. Though speaking of characters, I guess we'll finally get into them. First off, we have our main character who is Carl Nelson, who's played by Rhodes Reason. I'm pretty sure he's from the Rankin-Bass cartoons. I feel like that's the name of the main character, and I could be wrong though. What did you guys think of Carl Nelson? Whoever wants to start first.
His brother, I think, is the guy in This Island Earth.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. His Rex Reason was his brother. He's a good, serviceable kind of B movie guy. The one thing I noticed is that he
Mhm.
looks like Billy on the Street, Billy Eichner.
Oh my god! Now that you said it, I can see it.
So every time I saw it, I just thought he was like, going to give somebody $1 for naming, 3 Meryl Streep movies or something. But yeah, that he's a good B movie guy.
Mm-hmm. Thunder Crash. Whoever wants to go next.
Let you go, Tim.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Carl Nelson's a very kind of like simple character. He's kind of like, well, obviously by his name, he's kind of the Carl Denham of this movie. But they
Yeah.
kind of mix
Oh,
him
yeah.
with Jake. Oh my god,
Oh, Jack
Jack
Driscoll. That's
Jack
his name.
Driscoll.
Yeah.
I almost said Jake Sully. That's how off track I was. No,
Jake Sully.
yeah. But Carl Nelson, he's kind of like he's a straightforward character, but a nice one, kind of responsible leader type. Yeah, Rose Reason. He does a lot of really good acting here. I
Mhm.
always find it interesting, kind of seeing these diverse cast in those show movies. I mean, well, yeah, I consider
Diverse by Japan standards.
by Japan standards. Yeah,
What speaking of though, they did at least something real quick is I like how for the UN stuff you do have a bit of like a diverse group. Like you have like people who aren't just white or Japanese in the sub. For example, like you have like black people in the sub, which is not common in Showa films.
yeah. It's nice to have the kind of. It's nice to have the international feel, and
Yeah.
it also makes me kind of wish that they hadn't dubbed over the American actors. Like obviously they had to for the Japanese audience sake, but it would have been interesting, in my opinion, to have kind of like a multilingual title.
Mhm.
I'd be
Yeah.
curious what that would have came
That would have
across.
been interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Um, uh,
Carl's interesting.
Crash.
And yeah, pretty much agreed with everything you guys said. He's not like the most complex, but he's interesting and it's fun to watch him on screen. Like when you're
Yeah.
like, okay, like I like the dynamic they have.
Yeah.
The cast in general.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's a cool protagonist.
Like Carl Nelson isn't the deepest character as you guys said. He's pretty much the generic white guy for the American audience. I'd put him not above Nick Adams. I feel like Nick Adams had more charisma, but I'd put him above. Oh shoot, what's his name from War of the Gargantuas? The white guy they had in War.
What's his dude from Twin Peaks and
Yeah,
West Side Story?
yeah. What was his name? I can't remember his name now. That guy is probably the worst of them. So he's
that
very.
dude. Yeah, he could not like Nick Adams. I think he was one of those actors. Like, I'm going to give it 110%. Whether it's Godzilla, whether it's No Time for Sergeants, whatever he was in, whether it's Rebel Without a Cause, but dude from War of the Gargantuas, he couldn't care less.
Ross Tamblyn, that's his name.
Ross Tamblyn, yeah.
Yeah, he's the worst. I have to give Rhodes reason props. I think he does actually do a really good job.
Yeah, I'd agree too.
So he's middle of the line. The character's not the deepest, but he's still what I would call a good character. So yeah, that brings us to another big, huge person in the show era. It's really fun to see him again, and that's Akira Takarada as Jiro Nomura, as the second in command of the whole expedition. Whoever wants to go first on Akira Takarada is Jiro Nomura.
He's always. I mean, he's the best leading man of this era, no question. Like this, and especially Mothra versus Godzilla. Godzilla versus the sea monster, which is what I still call it. I will never call it Eberahara of the G. It is always Godzilla versus sea monster to me. He's the best. His hair is amazing in this movie. Yeah, he's awesome in this.
Yeah.
But the whole, and maybe this is jumping the gun a little bit. There's this weird kind of throuple at the center of this movie.
Oh yeah,
Akira Takarada and Rhodes Reason and Linda Miller. That's kind of like you're never sure who's like the actual leading man.
Yeah.
Who's the actual kind of romantic interest with her? Because they're not. Yeah. It kind of. There's scenes where you could make the argument both ways, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Whoever wants to go next.
Yeah, like it's awesome just to see him again. I love seeing all the show recurring actors. Like that's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The Godzilla stuff. But yeah, he has so much charisma. He's a really good character. It's kind of hard for me to explain. I just really like the whole like dynamic.
Yeah, I agree. They have a good dynamic with each other.
Yeah, his relationship with Susan as well. It's all very strong. So yeah, like I'm not gonna explain, but yeah, I really like them as well too. I say he's the strongest probably of this group of the cast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ton.
Yeah, I think Akira Takarada and the show movies just go together like bread and butter. If he shows up, it's probably going to be one of the better ones. Unless it's Final Wars. Anyway, just his role with Jiro in this film was really fun. It's kind of interesting seeing him and Carl Nelson kind of being dual protagonists. Like they both kind of have a romantic arc with Susan.
Yeah.
And it's interesting just kind of seeing like for this time period you have a movie where obviously because it's Japanese and not American, where an Asian man and a white man are kind of like equals almost. They're both kind of rugged, they're both handsome, so it's kind of interesting to see that kind of 60s diversity there.
Yeah.
So, and Akira Takarada is such a good actor. He always really gets into his role, so I always enjoy seeing him.
Yeah, I really like Jiro in this. I think it's interesting that they put him with Susan at all. So I guess I'm not too surprised considering we had Mrs. Namikawa and Glenn back in Astro Monster. But it is still cool to see that continuing. And like you said, it's interesting to me how much the show ever films push Japan and America being on the same equal level, and how kind of commonly accepted that was. I think that's an interesting detail you have in these films that kind of shows how different America's view on Japan was only 20 years or so after World War II, which is interesting.
This wasn't even 20. This was, 18. It was, and you think about like Godzilla, that was
Mhm.
9 years. That
Yeah.
was like with Godzilla King of the Monsters. I think it came out in America in '56.
Yeah, so that was 11 years later.
Yeah, so everybody, that was still fresh in their memories of of that. And I've always thought it was interesting, like how, and this would be something that would be hard to kind of research, to
Mhm.
think about how, there were so many people who still at that time remember, were in World War II, thought of all, the the propaganda, the racism against the Japanese, and then to have
Mhm.
these movies, come out with Japanese protagonists, and that,
Mhm.
to me, that's an interesting kind of social change.
Mhm. It is. And speaking of, as we were mentioning, the final member of the Main Street Trio is Linda Miller, who played Susan Watson, who, like I mentioned, unfortunately, she was dubbed over in English too, and it's kind of like fucked, in my opinion, that they did
Yeah.
that to her.
Yeah, it's really bad.
There's like a double standard that they were like, oh yeah, well, Reed, you can do that. You can read up your voice lines, but not you, not you, unfortunately. It was so
Yeah,
stupid. I don't know why they did that. And just from what she was telling me, it seems like when she was dealing with like the American side of production, it seemed very rude to her. Like they didn't really
yeah.
respect her as an actor. And that's pretty fucked.
Yeah, from what she said, because I was able to watch her interview she did last year at the KaijuCon line. She was one of the guests there, and she said, not obviously, she said that she had a great time filming it. That everyone on the Japanese side of things was very nice. She especially mentioned Ashiro Honda was very nice, but she said that she got the feeling from the American side of things that they just saw her as a pretty face and that they didn't think that she could act well, and that's why they dubbed her over, which is kind of fucked to me. Like,
Yeah, and they dubbed her with a voice actress who couldn't act. Like
yeah,
like the voice is so bad. Like I see why she did not like that,
yeah,
because it just, you would think, because people might watch. I'm sure most people thought that was her performance. And you
yeah.
hear that voice.
And it's a shame too because her physical performance is very good. She's
Yeah,
really convincing with
yeah.
the visual effects, and this was her first film too, so it's
Yeah,
even more impressive.
she. I met her at a convention. She was like with the actor who was in Gamera versus Virus when he was
Oh
little.
yeah,
And
Mm,
they were both kind of army kids. I think that's how they ended
yeah,
up in Japan. Their parents were
yeah,
both in the army, and
yeah,
she had kind of done some modeling work in Japan. Um, but it's kind of an interesting story how she kind of, they wanted a white actress for that movie, and how she
yeah.
kind of answered that, got in that with Toho.
hmm Yeah. Does anyone else have any thoughts on Susan? Whoever wants to go next.
Sure. I'll just hop in. I think Susan's really well done character. Um, kind of continues the trend from Sonic Kong of kind of the female characters in these Kong movies kind of having a more stronger presence.
hmm
She's not quite as like say formidable as Hilda and Son of Kong, but I do like how Susan's a little more kind of empowered. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say like she's
Yeah,
I think the first like Kong love interest to actually kind of get his neck and like talk to him and form that bond with him and that
yeah,
relationship, which is kind of something that I think, especially nowadays, that's just what everybody usually thinks about, like in
yeah,
regards to that relationship. When if you look back at 33, and didn't really give a shit about Kong that
yeah,
much, and so
yeah,
like this was like the first time we really kind of get to see that dynamic between
yeah.
the
With the
generation.
actual Kong, because
Yeah,
you did
yeah,
get that
we
with
saw
Kiko.
Kiko. Yeah,
Yeah,
when we like
but in terms of like actual Kong,
yeah, exactly. And yeah, and Susan's a really good character. Sorry for fucking stealing from that, you
no
dust.
problem.
no, that's fine. Yeah, yeah, you really captured it. It's just like it's interesting seeing how Susan has kind of that more intimate connection
hmm
with Kong. And no, I'm not trying to be weird here, people. Please. Just
She's also less of a damsel in distress. I feel like when Kong grabs her from the submarine in the opening act, she fucking jumps from his hand. She's like,
I know,
nope.
right? She just leaps off. It's like, damn.
Mhm.
She's less of a damsel than Anne was, or even the main female character in King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like
Yeah.
how she yells at Kong in this movie.
Yeah,
She yells at, like, when he's trying to attack the submarine, she actually yells at him, "No, Kong, that's where I eat and sleep."
yeah. It's a very fun dynamic, especially compared to the more damsel-y stuff. So it's fun. And speaking of fun, I feel like probably the most iconic character in this is Hideo Yamamoto as Doctor Who, because he is iconic.
He has that perfect like cheese and like evilness to him as like an evil scientist. I love it. He's so diabolical.
Oh, but there's something funny though, because he was also in two other Toho Godzilla films in big roles. One, he's the toy inventor in All Monsters Attack, who looks after Ichiro.
What? Really?
Yeah, and he's also the old guy in GMK.
What?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Man.
He's
guessed right.
also the guy who can speak the island talk. He's the guy in like the striped shirt in King Kong versus Godzilla that translates to the natives from.
Wait, that was
that's
him
fun.
too?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
I
he
had no
pops
idea.
up everywhere in these.
Yeah.
He's in that King Kong Godzilla stuff. What a man.
So he would either play like the silly characters or he was the, evil like Doctor Who.
And then you have his very out of his wheelhouse in GMK, but he did a really good job there. That was also his final film role. Unfortunately, he passed away not long after that. But yeah, he's left quite an impact on the entire franchise.
Yeah, he had such a presence in this movie. I love
Yeah.
Doctor Who. So evil. And so like willing to like fucking murder for a villain, which is kind of we don't really get as many human villains in like these kaiju films as much.
Yeah.
I've noticed. Seeing that was really cool, and he's also still very threatening as a villain.
Yeah.
I like to say, like though he's like silly, you're still like you're scared of what he can do to the
Yeah,
hero.
because they do a good job establishing him as a threat. Because even though it's kind of unfortunate they had to kill off the native character for that, him just shooting the old native.
Yeah, I was caught off guard. I was like, oh god,
Yeah.
like, he just straight up shot him. I was like, damn. And
Plus he's very what's the word? Not efficient. He's very the word's not coming to me.
tactical?
But like no, but the fact that he's always successful, the fact that he was able to get Kong off the island the way he did.
Cunning, lucky,
Cunning, I'd say that fits.
Yeah, cunning.
Wow, Craig.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I say cunning fits him very well.
Yeah.
I mean, even at the end, like we see his cold-hearted nature when he kills Piranha.
Yeah.
I was surprised. Like he shot her once, and he's like, "Bitch," and he shot her again. I was like, "No!" That actually that made me so sad. But yeah.
Plus, his death is brutal too, where he gets crushed by his machinery, and you see the blood coming out of his mouth. It's like, oh my god, that's brutal.
They let Kong do that.
Yeah.
They let Kong fucking murder him.
Well, he was a dangerous terrorist, I guess you would say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just funny because like they had that rule. They're like, Kong is like, fuck. It's less paperwork if we have Kong kill him. Like he's got this.
But yeah, Jake or Tenu, whoever wants to go next on Doctor Who.
Yeah, I like, he's a good kind of very iconic villain. Like you could see just a silhouette of the character and know that he is a villain.
Yeah.
And he he chooses scenery. He's got a cape. He's got these weird streaks in his hair. Yeah, he's awesome. Not
to mention also, I just want to point out, I know I'm seeing it where it's either Who, where it's WHU, or Who as an HUU. No one can seem to agree on which it's meant to be, but the fact that one of them is Doctor Who, like, the British TV show, is still very funny to me.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so funny.
Mhm.
No relation at all. Just a coincidence. But
He
yeah,
does, and he
Mhm.
kind of looks like the first Doctor Who. He looks like kind of a Japanese William Hartnell.
I've seen that. I can see it. It's really funny though to me still. But yeah, Ton, do you have any thoughts on Doctor Who?
Yeah, I really like Doctor Who's kind of very fun, almost pulpy villain. And I just
Yeah,
saw now he was actually from the King Kong cartoon.
yeah,
Very, very, very different in the cartoon, obviously. But
yeah.
uh, Hideo Yamamoto does a really good job, kind of just selling a menacing mad scientist.
Mhm.
And it's kind of interesting where uh, you have Honda once again kind of pulling in that real world influence with like him just being obsessively searching for element X, which is like
Yeah,
this weird MacGuffin, but it's pretty clear that it's supposed to represent like uranium.
yeah.
So I like how Honda took kind of like a pulpy mad scientist character, but also worked in a bit of his political commentary there.
hmm I would agree. Like I said, Doctor Who is really fun. I love how menacing he is. So yeah, and that brings us to the final big villain of the film, and that is Madame Piranha, who was played by May Hama, who was best known for being in James Bond. Actually, she was a Bond girl, but she was also she was also in King Kong versus Godzilla too. Funny enough, I think she was the I. I don't think she was the main girl in it, but she was one of the female characters in King Kong vs. Godzilla as well. So
Yeah,
mhm.
I'm trying to think. She wasn't the one that Kong takes during King
I
Kong.
don't. I don't think so. I could be wrong though. She might be because there's two big female characters in that. I can't remember which one she is though. But yeah, she was one of the female.
Wait, yeah, no, she was. She was the one that got kidnapped. The
Okay.
guy's
Okay.
sister. So
Yeah.
after that traumatic experience, she became an evil crime woman to get revenge against Kong.
But yeah, whoever wants to go first on Madame Piranha.
Yeah, Madame Piranha is probably like one of the most iconic villains here too. I would say a really cool.
Yeah.
She probably has like the strongest arc throughout this of kind of
Yeah,
like
she
turning.
has a really nice arc.
Yeah, turning against Doctor Who. Because at first, she's pretty vicious too in her own way, but by the end, she starts to like grow her conscience and help out, and she
Yeah.
ends up dying, which was really tragic. I was really sad to
Yeah.
see that. But yeah, she's a really strong character in this one.
Mm-hmm.
So were you
Though
gonna say
something
something?
which I was, I was gonna say was what I do really love how when she turns good, Doctor Who's like, wait, you're willing to murder
Yeah.
million potentially, but me doing this is too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny to me. Doctor
I know.
Doctor Who just fucking gets her neck like that, and she's like, well, what's different? But yeah, whoever wants to go next on
Yeah,
Madame Piranha.
I like Madame Piranha. Yeah, she is definitely one of the better, more interesting villains in this. And I think she
Mhm.
had just made. I think this and You Only Live Twice came out around the same time.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm looking. It said she just finished. You Only Live Twice when she did this one.
Because Toho helped them film in Japan, and had loaned her and Akiko Wakabayashi, who I probably butchered that name. But the Martian princess from Green 300 Monster, who was the other male lead in King Kong versus Godzilla as well.
Yeah.
They were the two Bond girls. In that. And so she was, one of Toho's big stars. This is probably, I think, my favorite role of hers in a Toho film. Because she's another great, if you just have a picture of Doctor Who next to Madame Piranha, you know that these are bad guys.
Yeah.
It's just so perfect. It's part of that Rankin-Bass cartoony feel to the whole thing.
Yeah. Ton?
Yeah, I like Madame Piranha a lot. She's very much kind of like classic femme fatale kind of villain. And interesting way because like she's not as quite as sexualized as we usually
Mhm.
are in movies, but she does kind of
Yeah.
have that. Like when she tries to like seduce Carl Nelson, your
Yeah.
Dexter, whatever. But um, Mihama's acting is just really good for the character, and I really like kind of just the ambiguousness of her existence.
Yeah.
Like you don't know which country she's supposed to be from.
Mhm.
You kind of see her how she goes from kind of like this cold person to kind of realizing just that Doctor Who's like overly cruel and doesn't
Yeah.
want to harm innocents. I'm not exactly sure if that's like supposed to be commentary, or just kind of her like redemptive arc, but it is
Mhm.
interesting that she has that trait.
Yeah.
And so she's a character you really end up going from kind of like, oh, this is the bad guy, to when she dies, you do feel bad for her because you do
Yeah.
want to kind of see her
Mhm.
get out of that life, but unfortunately she doesn't. It really works. Honda does a good job with his
Mhm.
female characters in that regard.
Yeah. And her death is so brutal too. Like the gunshots are just oof. And
Yeah.
she gets shot 3 times too.
hmm
It's
I'm
Like,
trying.
brutal.
it's fucking
Mhm.
vicious.
But yeah, go on, Tom.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think that's like the only time a woman dies. I mean, obviously, women die in the Godzilla movies, but like
Yeah.
usually it's from the kaiju, not the human
Yeah, I'm pretty
scalers.
sure she's the only female character killed by a human in the Godzilla franchise. Actually, that I can think of. Anyways, I might be wrong on that.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Though before we close out, there's one other topic I wanted to discuss, and I know, Crash, you've probably been holding it back. This one is probably the weirdest one within the Sherlock timeline and
Oh yeah.
continuity.
Yeah.
So,
It's a
Crash, you can go ahead with that. I'm pretty sure that's what you were mentioning earlier, right?
yeah. I kind of briefly poked at it, but yeah. So this is supposed to be like within the Showa timeline of the classic Godzilla movies,
Mm-hmm.
and it is, but there's a lot of weird, strange like inconsistencies. I mean, the first one is one that I can easily kind of write out
Mm-hmm.
because they kind of talk about it on the movie. It's the fact that it's a
Yeah.
different island than the one from King Kong.
Yeah.
versus Godzilla.
They do have a line where they say that Kong swims from island to island.
Yeah, he's like Kong can swim wherever he wants, like island to island. It's like okay, so like that explains to me like the Faroe Island versus like the Mondo Island. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He did that after King Kong versus. That's fine. But the
Yeah.
big weird one to me is the fact that everyone's like, "Is King Kong real? What is King Kong? I've never heard of." Like, did you forget when he attacked Japan like not that long ago and he fought Godzilla? That was kind of a big thing.
Yeah, it's a really fun, weird inconsistency. Also, the fact that Kong is so much smaller than he
Yeah,
was
like
in King
everything
Kong
here
vs.
is
Godzilla.
less. Yeah, he's a little manlet now. He's tiny.
King Kong Escapes is the weird one of the timeline because it is in the timeline. It's been confirmed to be it. How? I have no idea.
Like, I'm really surprised, and like they always release like those like reference encyclopedia books, like talking about.
If you wanted, but even then though, you couldn't even like say, "Oh, this one took place before King Kong vs. Godzilla," because in King Kong vs. Godzilla, they don't know King Kong is real in that either.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm
So there's
surprised
no
there
way
hasn't
you
ever
can
been
like.
like written something like to like fix that, or, like kind of cover that, like in like one of the like reference books or whatever they released. It's just a really like silly thing to me.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. It's just really funny because it's the only Shoho film which doesn't fit. I'd say.
Yeah, it's just weird to kind of like wrap your head around the
Yeah.
connection, the consistency there.
Yeah, if anyone wants to talk about that, they can. If not, I'll move on to one other scene I just thought of real quick. Tanner, Jake, do you have any thoughts on that, or should I
mean,
move on?
it's just like none of these Showa films have. I mean, like, at some point there's Godzilla, at some point there's Mothra, at some point, in 1999 they're all in Monster Island together. And
Yeah,
whatever. Like,
yeah, the continuity per film is better in some than others,
yeah.
which it gives the show a universe a charm, though. But yeah, Ton, do you have any thought? Oh wait, no, sorry. Go on, Jake.
Really,
Sorry.
the only kind of where you have sort of straight up continuity is like Mothra versus Godzilla, Ghidra the Three-Headed Monster, and Monster Zero. Like those three kind of all kind of linked together.
Yeah.
King Kong does fall off immediately after Raids Again, which is like
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
King
true.
Kong.
He does come out of the ice, right?
Yeah. And then you could also put Ibra there, I'd say, because you have Godzilla recovering from his wounds is kind of like the implication of why he's like fucking like in a coma at the beginning of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the other ones, they get less and less continuity heavy. Though Terror does have some continuity because it has Manda and Rodan and King Ghidorah get mentioned directly in that. It depends on the movie. It alternates.
Mm-hmm. Also, that really weird like premonition the girl has in versus Mechagodzilla, where she sees Ghidorah, even though Ghidorah doesn't show up in that movie.
Yeah.
That always kind of struck me as interesting and strange.
The way I've seen it explained, at least from a continuity perspective, is she actually saw what's going to happen and destroy all monsters.
That makes sense.
But that's more just a fan thing. I don't think they meant that. They probably just used stock footage they had.
Yeah.
And it just works. It happened to work. Yeah, Ton, do you have any thoughts, or should we move on to the final topic?
Yeah, I guess I can just comment real quick. Just like it's kind of interesting how with older movies, how just what they could get away with versus kind of like movies now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sure if you tried, like if the big CUs nowadays, like MonsterVerse, MCU, DCCU, if they tried to do something that flagrant, people would get really mad about it.
Yeah.
But audiences back then didn't really care, so it's kind of just an interesting show. The time.
It helps a lot that you didn't have movies on home video yet.
Mm-hmm.
So if you didn't see it in the theater, you didn't see it until it got re-released. Again, then like TV movies only started in the 70s. So, but yeah, real quick before we do our closing thoughts, I just want to bring it real quick. I love the hover car they have in this movie.
Fantastic car.
Awesome.
That really is what makes it feel like a live action cartoon. Is that hover car?
Like something from Thunderbirds or something.
It's got that like 60s cartoon vibe to it. Very silly, like retro futurism. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
A little floating hover car they take to the island. And
yeah,
that's like the only time they really have something like that, right?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
that's the only time I can really think of, especially in like the Kong stuff, which tends to be more grounded on average than Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Which is part of why King Kong Escapes is really unique in my opinion, because it definitely feels more sci-fi than usual for Kong.
Yeah,
but yeah,
maybe the most interesting one we'll see for a while.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess that's it. Does anyone else have anything else they want to say about King Kong Escapes, or should we start closing out?
I guess we can. Well, you have something to say?
Yeah. Oh, just quick comments. Just like with the hover cars, just I really appreciate the miniature work in this movie. It's really well done. Like the miniature work is always impressive in these Showa era films, but this one especially had really nice miniature work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh wait, I do have something to say.
Yeah.
So this is the end of the Toho King Kong man boobs.
Yeah.
From this point on. That design choice is always really funny to me. It will be missed. Yeah,
and it is the end of the Toho Kong era. So yeah, Crash, actually, I think we're far enough in. How would you rank the Kong films so far? Yeah.
I probably like put 33 at the top. It's very iconic.
Very
cool. And then probably King Kong Escapes here.
Okay.
And then King Kong versus, and then Son of Kong. The thing is, I like all these movies. I really do enjoy them.
Yeah.
But you're like, that's gonna change, Crash. And I was like,
yeah, next movie. I don't want to influence you, but just King Kong 76 is something alright. Anyways. Alright. So it's time for our closing thoughts. Jake, what would you say your closing thoughts are on King Kong Escapes?
I think that this is a fairly middle of the road classic kaiju film. It's it's not as good as some of the highlights. It's not as good as King Kong versus Godzilla, or Mothra versus Godzilla, or Atragon, or
Mhm.
but it's kind of right there, I would say, with maybe Godzilla versus the Sea Monster. It's kind of middle of the road
Mhm.
kaiju film, and you can kind of see that.
Yeah.
One thing is you can kind of see that the golden age is sort of on its way out.
Yeah, it's coming to a close.
Yeah, like the highs of King Kong versus Godzilla and Ghidra three-headed monster and Monster
Mhm.
Zero, they're coming to an end.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of city destruction in this movie.
Yeah.
But it is a perfectly fun movie, and probably I would say personally, like after the original King Kong, the 33 one, and
Yeah.
after Skull Island, it's probably my third favorite King Kong.
All right,
movie.
cool. Though I think Crash is gonna fight you for calling a Ibra mid tier. Yeah.
I would put that like kind of upper mid tier for me.
Okay.
I actually like Ibra Horror from the Deep. That's what Toho wants us to call it for some reason. Yeah, I like that. Was probably like the third or fourth Godzilla movie I ever saw. So that does have a place in my heart.
All right. Crash. What are your closing thoughts on King Kong Escapes?
Yeah, so once again, it's really nice to see another King Kong movie that does something original. And I think this one especially has a really strong human plot. I think that's part of why I find myself really enjoying it. I think it was just a lot of like fun, a lot of like the cartoon cheese that shows its way into this. Really good characters, so it's a really fun one. And I could easily like recommend it if you're into the Toho stuff at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the best, the pinnacle, but it's good. It's enjoyable. It's fun. I like it.
Ton.
Yeah, this King Kong Escapes is a fun entry into the kind of the monster movie legacy, I guess.
Yeah.
It's probably not my favorite. I mean, compared to other Kong movies or even like Godzilla movie, Toho movies. I was running Toho, but it's not. It's not really because it's bad or anything. It's
just like the
it's
stuff so good that's released like for
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like it's a charming movie. It's fun. Would I recommend it? I'd probably only recommend it if you really like these kind of movies in the first place. If you're just kind of not really into monster movies or you're new to it, I wouldn't say jump into this movie. But if you like Kong, you like Showa style, what era is? Oh my god, yeah, Showa era. If you like Showa era movies, give this one, check this one out. It's fun.
Yeah, for me, I would say that I really enjoy King Kong Escapes. I think it's a really fun, enjoy movie. If you like the show era, you definitely should check this out. And if you want to see all the King Kong movies, I think it's on the better end of the Kong movies. I personally I like it more than Son of Kong, honestly. So yeah, I would say I'm gonna check it out. Jake, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at the Aquaslug. And you can find me at Something Ghoulish. I've got a couple kaiju related pieces coming up. I've got something that coming up about the legal battle with King Kong. And later on, I'm not sure when that's going to drop, but I'm also going to write a 50th anniversary special for Godzilla versus Hedorah, which is turning 50 this year.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, and also just a little quiz. Can y'all tell me? This is a question. Where since we're all giant monster fans here. Does anyone know where I got my screen name, The Aquaslug, from?
I actually don't know it.
Godzilla movie?
and I'm the biggest Godzilla fan here.
Yeah, this is this might be a little before y'all's time. I'm not sure, but it's from King of the Monsters 2 on Neo Geo and Sega Genesis.
Oh my.
Oh,
So it's an old
Deep
16-bit fighting game. Yeah, so it's at the Aqua Slug.
Mhm. All right.
I was
Awesome.
about to guess the door is a fucking tadpole form.
But yeah, Jake, thank you so much for coming on. It was a lot of fun.
No problem. It was tons of fun being here.
All right, guys. Like I said, next time it will be King Kong 1976. Oh boy.
Good luck. Good luck, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be covering that one next time. Thank you for listening, and as always, have a good night.